It was, man, incredible, beautiful, exciting, time. And I thank the players. I thought they had really good energy. We don't know what we're doing yet or how to do it, but they certainly brought a great energy to practice one. If we can repeat that for the next 14, we will absolutely get better. Um, but man, I don't know. It was just obviously when you start fall camp, there's a different level of excitement, but probably this is, one of the day ones of spring ball in a long, long time. I felt a sense of that fall camp feeling as we start to try to build a program here, and so it was exciting. Good day. Thought our coaches were well prepared for the time we had. In the future, I'd like to have a little longer time for them to be with our strength staff and us to have a little downtime in February before we jump right into the grind of spring ball. But that's the schedule we have, and I thought we were well prepared, and I thought practice went smooth. And obviously, man, that's a beautiful, beautiful spot to hold a practice, and we're thankful to all of our boosters and our own to victory people and all the people that contributed to this wonderful facility. It was a really, really, really nice evening. So obviously, it's hard for me to judge exactly what was good and wasn't because we were trying to set the tempo and running around and until I see the film, but was pleased with the effort for sure.
Coach, you said in previous interviews that you had not coached anybody down yet, so you were just kind of monitoring what people do over what they say. What things were you looking for in this first practice here, and how did you spend your time during this first practice, just kind of moving around?
Well, I tried to get everywhere, and I tried to make a lot of notes of things I'd like to see better or done differently, and um, and be a part of kind of every group at some point during the practice. And we got a ton of reps in. We two spotted on fields, and so everybody got plenty of reps. And really, the first thing you want to see is, I really believe that people like to think the main thing is X, Y, or Z. I think the main thing is the little things, and the way we break the huddle, the way we get to the football, the tempo to which we play with, the attention to the ball, and the attention to detail. Starting this morning from class attendance to all the way through practice, and until you've been a part of that, it's a mental grind, and it takes mental toughness, and that doesn't come natural to a lot of people, not just football players, but to a lot of people. And I think that is the number one thing that I want to get out of spring ball would be that we would understand that the little things truly are the main thing. And I thought we got the effort part right today. I'll have to watch the film and see about the other stuff, but I got around to most every group, I believe.
You can state your name and affiliation too, and I call you back, far back, Ryan.
Ryan Hennessy, NBC 13 in Birmingham. Coach, this isn't your first practice as a head coach. When you went into today, did you exceed expectations? I know you can't take a lot from today, but what did you think going into today? And now that you just got off the field, how do you feel about this team so far?
Whew, man, I don't want to be vague. It's just hard to, with one practice without pads on for me to I don't want to say something that's inaccurate. I loved our energy. I thought we looked better on the field physically than maybe I thought. I thought we showed good burst. I thought our quarterbacks threw some decent balls at times, and other times where our mechanics were really bad. But I kind of expected that, and that's we've got to coach that throughout the 15 days. But if they'll keep giving the same energy and effort that they gave today, we'll get better throughout spring. And so I'm leaving today's practice feeling very positive and optimistic.
Front row, Jason.
Jason Caldwell, Auburn
just to kind of get that first reaction?
Well, it's important. I think the biggest thing is them understanding how we want to practice, and it's totally different. Not that it's right or wrong or better than somebody else does. It's just the way we do that, and it's a frantic pace, and they're swimming a little bit in day one, looking around, where do I go next? What do I do next? And no matter how many times you go through the practice schedule with them like we have the last 2 weeks, they're still going to be, all right, this is the first time we've been on those two fields, and the horn blows, and everybody's screaming and yelling, and they're trying to figure out where they go, and they'll get that. And I think that was the biggest thing for me, is establishing the tempo to which we want to practice and the effort to which we want to do it.
Far right, Mark.
Coach, last time we talked to you, you're still working on building chemistry with the coaching staff and getting everybody on the same page. How much progress have you guys made in that area? How important is that to get
Yeah.
on the same page?
Well, I think chemistry's incredibly important. I like our staff a lot, and I think we have good chemistry. Are we where we want to be as far along as we'd like to be? Probably not, because we just had such a short window to try to decide exactly what are we going to try to do this spring. And we have coaches from a lot of different staffs and backgrounds, and now we've got to melt all this together and try to be all on the same page and one voice. The last thing you want is kids hearing from too many voices that are not saying the same thing. And so I think it's vital that they see we have chemistry. I think they do that. I think they see that when we say this is our expectation, I think the coaches have a clear understanding that that's a non-negotiable for me, that has to be everybody. And it's impossible, I firmly believe it's impossible for me or any of the coaches to give something away that we don't already possess. And if we say this is the culture we want to portray, then we must possess it. And so I like our chemistry, and now we got to be great teachers. We'll see from day one to day two to day three, can we get some stuff cleaned up?
Good. Two questions from the Bryans in the front row. Stoltz, and then, yes, Stoltz first.
Brian Sells, Auburn Rebels. Jumping off Mike's question about moving around, getting to know everyone, how important is it to have Kent and Phillip to kind of basically take what you've done in the past, dealing with the quarterbacks mostly during practice, and trusted them to do that while you're doing other things?
Well, obviously I put a lot of thought into that before we put the staff together, because I think we live in a different day and time for college football, and the days of me just sitting there and coaching quarterbacks and just calling all the plays. I think there's so much more that's needed right now to try to manage your own roster, to recruit, and to manage the culture. And to have, Phillip and Kent in the meeting room. He can't coach on the field yet. I hope that passes, but to have him in the staff room, in the planning part, he's been with me a long time and knows, the expectations. And when I'm not in the room, I feel very comfortable with both of those guys, and that's given me freedom to recruit like crazy, to get on the phone at practice with top guys, and just put extra effort into that. And I think that's going to be invaluable for us to have those two guys who I trust a lot offensively.
Ryan Matthews, AuburnSports.com, I'm the older and funnier brother.
Mm-hmm.
Two quick questions. As far as a healthy team, anybody have to miss the first part of practice or first week or so?
Yeah, well, I don't think anybody missed today. There's some yellow jerseys out there, which means non-contact, but we didn't have pads on anyway, so I think they had to stay out of some of the team activity there. But I think everybody, is going to give it a go at some point. I think we held about 3 guys out of the team stuff, but we expect them to be back hopefully after spring break.
And then the second part was, what's sort of your practice plan going full pads and holding the first scrimmage? You'll have to sort of
Yeah, we're going, we got to go 2 non-padded to start. Then we'll go pads Friday, and then spring break hits. I think the first practice that we'll do some type of scrimmage situation will be practice 6.
Second row, Jeff.
Hugh Goodwin with nail.com. Manage the culture is a really insightful phrase. How much of your time, I guess, leading up to spring football did NIL occupy?
A decent amount. Whether we like it or don't like it, it's part of the world that we live in, and so I think whether it's a discussion with an individual young man, or you just, and sometimes maybe we as coaches can create things in our mind that need to be discussed or addressed, and so maybe it's not as much NIL talk as it is you just trying to establish, what do we want to be within our team walls? What do we want that to look like? What do we want it to look like academically? What do we want it to look like in regards to how we deal with our teammates, whether we think that everything is exactly fair, not fair, whatever that is? How do we handle that? And so I spent a lot of time teaching just in team settings, having open dialogue and trying to create a transparency and honesty among our team for, hey, what do we want it to be? And, there's not a single person in regards to NIL on any college football team probably that would say, I wasn't for that. And so if we're all for that, then we have to be willing to also deal with when we think it might not be adequately done for you. There's still a lot of guys that go in debt to be a part of this program and every program. And, you could trade seats with them if you'd like to, and obviously nobody would. And so I'm just I want our young men to try to operate out of an attitude of blessing and not entitlement. And even if life's not fair sometimes, and everything won't always be fair, but what do we do when it's not? And so I've spent a lot of time trying to teach on those kinds of things.
Gonna go back right, Bill.
Yeah, Bill Cameron, ESPN 1067. Brian, with 2 questions now. But talk about looking at the roster, see a few guys that are noticeably bigger than they were. Just talk about were there any players that you heard about that stood out during the offseason workouts?
Oh man, I would. That is a great question. I just would hate to start singling out people after one practice. I do think we've got to develop a culture council type mentality at some point that we can depend upon to say to anyone on the team, hey, we're better than that. That's really not the way we do that. And do we have a few guys that I think are headed in that direction? Yes, but we need more. But that's most every time you take over a program and you start changing the way you practice, the expectations, and but yeah, there was I get reports every day from our strength staff and academic staff and training staff, and we still got a ways to go, truthfully, in the standard to which we want to operate, and we're going to count on the guys that I do get the good reports, and hopefully after about 3 to 5 practices, we'll talk about some names.
Stand the center.
Justin Ferguson, Auburn Observer. Notice with the wide receivers and the tight ends, a lot of size, especially with like Nick and Rivaldo, those 2 guys you got. You also have Camden and Landon. Just in your offense and in your pass, how important is having those big guys as pass catchers to what y'all do on offense?
Yeah, I don't. If you follow my track record, I believe in it. I think you have to have a catch radius in this league. You're not going to create tremendous separation in this league when they're in man-to-man situations all the time. And so what happens when that's the case, we can't just decide we're going to be a scrambling team when that happens. If you get a one-on-one and the ball is correctly placed, really good receivers that have some catch radius, I've seen with my own eyes are able to make plays and it be really, really advantageous to an offense. So I think at the tight end position and at the wide receiver position, particularly the outside guys, to have some length is very beneficial.
We'll take a couple more. I've got one far back.
Hey, Coach, Trevor Hoffman, CBS Sports in Birmingham. What do you like about this group of quarterbacks that you have, and what do you think maybe are going to be some of the biggest challenges?
I thought TJ, I thought Robbie and Holden all are, I think they're hungry. I think they want to be taught. They want to learn a different way. They want to learn a different system. And I think they all have been like a sponge and saying, just help me, Coach. I want to get better. I want to be the guy. And obviously they're all a little different. And we've got to figure out, to play to the strengths of those guys. But at some point, all three will have to be the guy. You're going to have to lead the football team and lead not only on the field, off the field, and in the locker room, decision-making, accuracy, taking care of the ball, all of those things. But to this point, the thing I've really liked is it's just, man, if the meeting's at 2:30, they're there at 2:15 saying, can we start early? Can we go? And they're wanting to learn.
Far right, Michael.
Michael getting World War. Coach, can you talk about the feedback process this spring and how players are going to receive feedback in real time on how they're doing and understanding where they stand? Obviously, players have a limited amount of time to make an impact in the spring. And you got to narrow down reps so you can make sure that you're concentrating on your guys who are going to be your guys. How's that feedback being given? How are you guys narrowing down these races?
Yeah, we won't narrow down the reps in spring. We will in fall. You have to, but spring we won't. I mean, everybody got the same number of reps today. And so, we're going to rotate some people. Look, I told them today in the team meeting, I mean this, there is no depth chart. I don't care what group you trot out there with on the field right now. I don't have in my mind this is a first team, a second team, a third team guy. You're going to get the reps, and we're going to rotate different people in with this group that runs out there and grade every single rep of it and kind of figure out where we are after spring. But really believe that that everybody's going to get equal reps this spring and develop some depth at least before we decide kind of where everybody is in the pecking order of depth charts.
Real quick, Coach, how will that affect how you run 8A then in terms of
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's hard to say that until you know what kind of health you have. I think the best format I've ever done is if you're healthy enough and you really want to create good-on-good competition, you just put the offense against the defense and you walk in the stadium and on the scoreboard is defense 24 and offense 0. And offense, your job is to score more than 24 to win it. And defense, hold them under 24, you win. And that's the most probably creative and exciting and competitive. I don't like all those formats where, all right, you get a first down, it's a point, or I don't like, all right, we're going to go the 1 offense against the 3 defense and put up a bunch of points and make everybody feel excited. And I think that's kind of a false sense of where we really are. So I hope we're healthy enough just to go out there and compete and tell the defensive staff, you roll out there whoever you want, but your job is to keep the offense under whatever point spread we agree upon.
Coach, thank you for your time.
Yep, thanks, guys.